right, 1994 Cadillac Deville. We're going to do front brakes and rotors. So we got rotors here, various cleaning supplies, part number for rotor, and brake pads, part number for brake pads right here, DG623, and various scrapers, different scrub brushes. That's going to be to get the rust off of the rotor where the mating surfaces are, right behind there. Sometimes it's hard to get the rotor off. That rust can kind of seize it to it. These ones are going to be a little bit easy, but getting grease on there is going to kind of help the future replacement when you have to go back in and get those rotors off. So we're going to start here in the back. We have 3/8 hex. We're going to get those popped off. This same process will work on almost every vehicle you look at. The hardware is just going to be different. So usually you're going to have like a 13 millimeter in this spot, something like that. But you're normally looking at 2 bolts on the back end to get that caliper pulled off of the rotor. So first thing we're going to do is loosen these up. I'll switch over to power tools to loosen it. I do want to crack it by hand. I won't put my power tool on there because you could kind of shred those threads in there. So once you get it loosened up, if you have power tools, use them. But you are able to do this entire job with hand tools. It'll just take you a little bit longer. So once we get these hexes out, I'm going to use a screwdriver, wedge it in between the top and bottom of the caliper to loosen that up. And then the caliper is going to slide right off of the rotor. Then from there, we can move on to getting that rotor popped off and getting everything swapped out. So I apologize for the camera angle on here. You're not going to see the top, but I'm going to use a screwdriver to wedge in the top, squeeze it back. Same thing I just did on the bottom is what I did to the top. Then once I get that back enough, I'll just slide it off. We're going to grab us a bungee cord or anything you have to tie that up. You could actually loop these right onto the spring with that hook, but with a bungee, it's going to give you a little bit more security on there, so you know it's not going to dangle, drop down, mess up your brake line at all. And then from here, once you get that cleared out, if you weren't going to replace the rotors, you could just pop the pads out, grease them, and get everything back in. But we're going to go ahead and get these rotors off. So again, that one slid off, but sometimes they're seized on. You can grab a hammer and just tap them right off. You'll like tap it, spin it, tap it, spin it until you work it loose enough to pop off the end. Now from here is just going to be a clean job. Get your scrubbers, many brushes as you can, different angles. I got a few different ones that I'm going to use. I won't show them all here, but basically to get everything off, you want to be able to get at different angles. So at this point, it's just cleaning. Get all the rust off, and then we'll come back in and get some grease on there. So once we get the grease on, I'm going to kind of just put it in between on each spot on these contact surfaces. But then once I'm done with that, I'll follow in with my glove and we'll smear everything out just to make sure it's all covered up and we're not going to have spots in there that have rust buildup in between the grease. We'll make sure the grease is covering all those contact surfaces. And also, while you're grinding it down and cleaning that up, keep an eye on your studs, where your threads are. You want to make sure that area doesn't get affected, so that way once you get your bolts back on, you're going to get those all the way down and seized up. From here, it's going to be cleaning the grease off. You're going to be packing grease all over the rotor. I'm using non-chlorinated brake clean just to get that all sprayed off, and then I'll hit it with some air, blow everything off, pop that right back on, and then from the rotor point, you are good to go. You're set. We're going to go ahead and squeeze in these calipers. I'm using the old brake pad with the C-clamp. Again, you can use a caliper tool. You can get those at AutoZone, but I found that some of those plastic ends, they'll tend to start spinning on you. C-clamps work in all different positions, all different calipers. So once you get that squeezed all the way down, get your brake pad. Now take a look in the center, that line, you'll see that's an indicator for your brakes. Once that line's gone, it's time to swap your brakes out. So if you're able to see that from the window on the back of your caliper, that'll tell you right away where you're at with your brakes, or you'll have the squealer on there. But at that point, sometimes it could be too late. I've seen those squealers destroy rotors. And the pads are only going to go in one way. There is a passenger side, driver side. You'll see on the caliper side, it has little clamps that pop into the caliper. And then on the outside, you're going to see those little plugs where it just kind of slides over the top. From here, we're going to slide that right back on, put it in position. If you have any issues putting the caliper back on 9 times out of 10 you just haven't squeezed the caliper down enough and the brake pad's probably out a little too much. So if that's the case, just take it back off, squeeze the caliper all the way in using the old brake pad. You don't want to ruin the new brake pads, and then you're good to go. Job is done. Lights.